Welcome back to the Foundry by Forge College. In our last explainer, we kicked things off by defining the exact scope of our case study. Well, today we are taking a massive leap. We're escaping the whiteboard, moving past the theory, and actually building the practical tools for our capstone project. We know what success looks like, and now it's time to literally build the machinery to capture Turbine's data transfer optimization in action.
So you might be wondering, how exactly do we catch Turbine's magic in action? Let's think of it like engineering a custom data trap. We need a super reliable mechanism to measure network performance, but, and this is absolutely key, without getting tangled up in the weeds of validator internals. We want observable, empirical signals that prove how data is moving, and we need to capture them with total precision. All right, here's the game plan for today's build. We'll start by setting up that data trap, draft out our blueprint schema, assemble the actual Python collector, run some strict quality control, and finally get everything prepped for our final analysis. Basically, we're taking our theoretical data contract and turning it into a ticking, highly reliable data machine.
Let's jump right into step 1, setting the data trap and moving from scope to concrete data.
Look, our primary goal right now is pretty straightforward. Collect metrics, and assemble a completely reproducible dataset. Remember, our objective at this exact moment isn't to definitively prove Turbine's advantage, not yet. Before we can pop the champagne and celebrate high throughput, we have to lay down a rock-solid, auditable foundation. We're doing the rigorous science now, so our analysis later is basically bulletproof. And to do that, we're designing this collector with total adaptability in mind. We want to be absolutely sure we can seamlessly swap between a highly controlled local solana-test-validator and a wilder public DevNet endpoint. And the best part? We're going to do it without rewriting a single line of our core logic.
Moving on to step 2, designing our blueprint schema. This is our ironclad data contract. I cannot stress this enough, guys. A strict schema prevents existential crises during analysis. Seriously. If you've ever spent days, literally days, crunching a massive data set, only to have your scripts crash because of a tiny, invisible typo in a CSV header, well, then you know exactly why we need to be incredibly meticulous right here. A little discipline right now is going to save us a ton of pain later. So here's our absolute ironclad contract. Every single row we collect has to contain these exact fields. We're pulling the slot number, the block time, counting the transactions, estimating the block size in bytes, grabbing our own local UTC timestamp, and logging a source tag. If the RPC returns missing values, we record an explicit null, no exceptions whatsoever.
All right, step 3, building the Python collector and assembling our data harvester.
For this build, we're using Python because it's concise and super portable. Just make sure you're on Python 3.10 or higher. We're specifically leaning heavily on AIOHTT for asynchronous JSON RPC polling. Think of async like getting one of those buzzers at a busy restaurant. Our script can go do other things instead of just freezing up while waiting for the network to hand over our data. We'll also be pulling in handy standard libraries like pandas and PyYAML. The mechanical heartbeat of our script is actually beautifully simple. First, pull the latest slot. Second, pull the full block details using that specific slot number. And third, normalize that raw data strictly to our schema and save it. It just does this over and over again, efficiently and reliably. We're actually wiring the outputs to write to 2 formats simultaneously. First up, a standard CSV file. That's for us. Great for human eyes to pop open and check instantly. Second, we're making a new line delimited JSON file. If the CSV is a snack for us, the JSON file is an absolute feast for our analysis robots later. It just gives us a really robust, ingest-friendly structure. Now, here is a golden rule: separation of concerns. Keep your collection logic totally independent from your environment configuration. If you separate your config file from your actual Python script, you can swap from local testing to a public testnet seamlessly. You're just changing a text file, not messing with your application code. Let's hit step 4, quality control and validation. Time to check the gauges. To pass our initial quality checkpoint, you're going to need a minimum of 50 consecutive samples. But it's not just about quantity. Every single sampled row in that batch of 50 must contain a valid, non-null slot number and a properly formatted observed timestamp. This is just to confirm the network is actually talking to us and our basic logic is sound. I also highly recommend building a tiny, separate Python script, maybe call it validate schema.py. Its entire purpose in life is just to open your dataset and assert that your CSV headers perfectly match the canonical schema we defined earlier. Honestly, this simple automated check will save you hours of pulling your hair out later. Now, if validation fails, don't panic. Just tighten the bolts, check for an unreachable RPC. Maybe your local validator just crashed. Watch out for skipped slots that return empty blocks. Your script should cleanly tolerate those none values without completely crashing. Fix any annoying typos causing mismatches. And finally, keep a super close eye out for time skew. Speaking of time skew, huge warning here. Out-of-sync system clocks lead to accidental time travel in your dataset. Unless you've managed to code a DeLorean into your Python script, you have to be extremely careful here. You absolutely must ensure all your data collectors' system clocks are synced up using a protocol like NTP. Otherwise, your block propagation analysis is going to look like it's defying the laws of physics. Okay, final step, preparing for final analysis. We are getting ready for the scalability demo. For your official recorded run, you need to just let the harvester do its thing. Let it run and collect a dataset spanning at least 200 slots. Once that's done, carefully commit your outputs, your configuration files, and critically, document your exact commands in the README. Reproducibility is everything here. Reviewers should be able to look at your notes and reproduce your exact steps without having to guess. Which brings us to the ultimate question. How will Turbine's unique data transfer strategy actually affect these exact empirical metrics we've just captured? We've got the data, but what story is it telling us? Well, that is exactly what we're going to uncover in our next explainer, when we dive in and analyze this dataset to reveal the real-world scalability gains. To continue this journey and to check out our other awesome Web3 programs, head over to forge.college. Keep building, and I'll catch you in the next one.